Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me on my inaugural Bat Rep Watch Along, which is a stupid name, but it's what I came up with really quick. Darryll messaged me and asked me if I was available this evening for a walkthrough of his game, and I thought, yeah, but why don't we make it live so that everybody else can watch too and ask questions? So we have from the US Open Seattle top 16 finisher, Darryll here with his Deathwatch, rocking two Indomitor kill teams, and I'll have him get into his list and his opponent's list in just a little bit. But you were lucky enough that your very first game was streamed?
Yes, that is
Cool.
correct. Jason Bird, my opponent, and I were setting up for our game one. Nick Nanavati walks on over and says, hey guys, sorry for interrupting. Would you like to be on stream for game one? And both Jason and I looked at each other and went, yeah!
Very cool.
So we then hightailed it over to the stream area.
Oh man, I'm excited. All right, well, yeah, let's get into your list a little bit, and then we'll jump into the game, and
Sure.
feel free to ask any questions. Anybody watching?
So the list was a Deathwatch Army, 2,000 points, Army of Renown, Kill Team Strike Force. Captain was rocking a Damage 4 Thunderhammer. The Chaplain was rocking the Benediction of Fury, Mantra of Strength, reroll bonus charges, Salamander bonus, like the true Smash Chaplain build for the Deathwatch. Both characters were on bikes. I had a basic Apothecary Chief Healer. I had a Librarian and Phobos rocking the Beacon. A Corvus Blackstar, of all things.
Hell yeah.
Which so counter meta for Deathwatch in today's meta. Then
it's so pretty though.
It is absolutely one of the best looking flyers in 40k.
It's the best looking flyer in 40k.
I will not argue that point. And then, as you said, had two Indomitor teams, one with 5 Eradicators, one with 5 Flamestorm Aggressors, a 5-man Spectrus team with 5 Last Fusel Eliminators, and then a Proteus team with 2 Chain Fist Terminators, a pair of Vanguard Veterans Chainsword Storm Shield, 4 Veterans Bolt Gun Storm Shield, a Black Shield with a Thunder Hammer, and the Sergeant with a Heavy Thunder Hammer. Reason for all the shields is because I just didn't have enough time to be able to convert after the balanced data slate, and I don't think it would have made any difference in any of my games if I had tried to take advantage of it. So, all in all, it didn't end up mattering one iota. But that was the list. 4 characters, the plane, and then the 4 kill teams. Basic strategy: combat squad the Eradicators for teleport in, put the veteran team in the plane if I need to, and then forward infiltrate the Phobos unit and the Librarian with optional Lord of Deceit redeployment. So I went full tricks with this list to try and eke out every last bit of it, and I'm glad I did. Everything I did in this list paid dividends in the game.
That's awesome, man. So it was Nurgle Demons.
Yes.
With Death Guard accompaniment, right?
That is correct. Jason prided himself on being the premier Nurgle player in the ITC, which means he could not run pure Death Guard because then it'd be a Death Guard army. He had to run Nurgle Demons with Death Guard. His list was a brick of 10 Blight Lord Terminators, a brick of 5 Death Shroud Terminators, 2 units of Possessed, a Foul Blight Spawn, a Tallyman, a Malignant Plaguecaster, a Demon Prince, a Plague Surgeon, then follow that all up with 2 units of 5 Plague Marines, 2 units of Nurglings, and then a Poxbringer from the Demon side.
And if they didn't have Nurglings, I'd be sad. So I'm glad that they did.
Yeah, he took the 2 units of mid Nurglings to try and get some midfield deployment.
Nice. Yeah, because they can forward deploy, right? They're all sneaky or whatever.
Yep.
All right. Very cool. So when you were looking at this list and your opponent's army, what did you know that you had to do? Like, what was your general game plan, other than the one that you just talked about, which is like your overall game plan? But what was your game plan into Nurgle Demons?
Well, It's a two-part thing. One requires knowing what the mission was. The first mission was the 5 objectives with hammer and anvil deployment, and the bonus primary objective was you perform an action on each of the objectives around the map to gain 3 points at the end of the game. So when I know that it's a short edge deployment, so he has to come the full length of the table, and he's in a corridor. The long vigil, so keeping him away from my deployment zone, was a simple thing. Nachman data with this list, very doable. And then in an effort to try to play footsie with him to the last. So try and keep my most durable units away from his most powerful units.
Yeah.
And really punish him with his durability. And my list is also built with multiple damage 4 Thunderhammers in the list, or the Chaplain with these Benediction and Mantra, to be able to eat through Death Guard Terminators. This list is designed to try to do just that. It's -1 damage. It's still damage 4. It's going to bonk you hard.
Yeah. It'll still kill a Death Guard Terminator even with the -1 for sure. So I want to pull it up. This was the Nachman book, right?
Yes.
Okay. So was this? Oh man, do you remember the name of this mission?
The Scouring, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. It's the new Scouring. Cool. Let me actually look that up because I want to. All right. Yeah, I want to quickly flip over to my browser window here. And I want to make it so that everybody is able to actually see what we're talking about here, which, of course, the one time I didn't set it up beforehand is when I want it. There we go.
Yeah, it was the Scouring.
Ooh, all right. So everybody who's watching the stream right now, there is the map of this Scouring. So the deployment zones are very deep. They are almost 1/3 of the map total. Not quite, but pretty darn close. And then you have 5 objectives squished together more or less in the middle, which means that this is a heavy aggressive game. Like,
yep.
You are only 2 or 3 inches away from the objective marker in the first place. So
yep.
You can get on 2 objectives out of your deployment zone with the slowest moving units in the game. So I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was fascinating.
And especially in this mission where you have nothing in your home deployment zone, something that can hit midfield objectives, like anything with infiltrate, big bonus in this mission. Like, plan for it if you're doing list building.
Yeah, so I have your game up now. It's paused at the moment. It looks like deployment's done. You had a Phobos unit spread out towards the north of the map, holding the center objective. So you deployed first, you stuck them straight out there, and then he wasn't able to deploy them within 12 inches of them, so he is way to the south then with his Nurglings.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Deployment went first. Deploy the Spectre's team nice and wide. He stuck his Nurglings in the south. I then set up another unit up north. He doubled down on the Nurglings, and then he built his 2 castles, and I built to counter the southern castle from the video.
Okay.
Because it had no Terminators and seemed the easiest of the 2 to try to break.
Gotcha. I see your limiters up there with good lines of sight too. That's nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, I know you have. I don't know if we want to do a watch along of the whole damn game, or if you just want to skip towards the time frames when like really big things happened.
Oh, I don't mind skipping to the more action points, because there are long stretches of the game where it's either just talking or.
I mean, I want to. So this is the thing, right? Like, I'm a newer player. I've only gone to a handful of tournaments now. I think 4 total. So what I really want to do is I want to look at maybe not just the action-y parts where you kill a bunch of Terminators, but I want to be looking at the points where you had to make a critical decision, or you saw your opponent do something that maybe you weren't quite expecting, or even something that you were expecting and that you had previously planned for. I want to know what your mental process is. So
sure.
even though it might not be sexy, when he counter deployed on you during deployment, right?
Yep.
With those Nurglings, were you very pleased that you got to deploy first because you knew he was probably going to forward deploy those Nurglings?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you have the battle of infiltrating units, being able to claim defender and get that first unit down to dictate where things can go is absolutely huge, because if you are using those units, um, especially on a mission like this where you need to be able to have board presence, denying your opponent the board presence is just as important.
Right.
Because of that, because I was able to zone him off of that center objective so nicely, um, one of his secondaries was Stranglehold. He uh, he struggled to score anything on Stranglehold
Hey,
because
T-Rev, what's up, dude?
he literally just couldn't get anywhere close to that objective for a vast majority for the first turn of the game.
Yeah. So I mean, that's 3 points already, which is pretty
Yeah,
big. Yeah.
absolutely.
Very
And
cool.
then I won the roll to go off. I won the roll off to go first. Hold my units back because I don't want to be giving the Death Guard free movement and charges off the hop of the game. Like,
Yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
recipe for bad disaster. So I then repositioned my Phobos units such that I could, do a couple of actions and just deny him a bit of a positioning. And then on the I opted to go with White Scars because since I'm going first and I have the option to, those Nurglings have to die like right away. Because if I don't kill those Nurglings, they're going to become a problem. And the White Scars was so that even advancing my aggressors, if the Nurglings are still there, I can follow up charge and just eliminate them from the table. Fortunately, between the firepower of the last Fusils and, 5 Flamestorm Gauntlet aggressors, 6 Nurgling bases evaporated like mist.
Good. Nice.
And my opponent was kind of surprised, like, I did not expect them to die. They're tough. Not when you dump 10d6 auto hits that are wounding on 2s, rerolling, wounding on 2s.
Yeah. So we have people starting to pile in here. I want to remind everybody we do this live so you can interact with us, ask questions, make fun of me, ask me what this dot in the middle of my forehead is from, all that stuff. So did you have a timestamp you wanted to? Oh, you're still okay. Please go ahead.
And then the other big thing that happened turn 1 was I took my Corvus Blackstar, which was deployed in the
I think it's back here.
Yeah, in the top right hand side.
Oh, it was? Okay. So it's up here.
Yeah, it's buried behind the branding on the right hand side.
Yeah,
I flew it all the way across the table into his southeast side, behind his southern brick, and then so that I could get my veteran team into the thick of things turn 2. What went really well for me there is the anti-tank firepower just ate 4 Plague Marines right off the hop. 4 hits, 4 wounds, and 4 dead Plague Marines.
From the Corvus. Gotcha. Very cool.
So yeah, if you look at the turn, if you move the timestamp forward into the turn 1 period, you can see where the Corvus Blackstar across and was able to get position.
Yeah, I'm watching you. It looks like you're moving your last Fusel eliminators back.
Yes.
Is this is this deployment still? Because they are
so deployment in deployment, as I said, I did the Lord of Deceit redeploy so that I could get some repositioning. And then I had to take a long moment to think of which chapter tactic to use, which is why like the first bit is a little bit on the slow side. But I eventually settled on the White Scars. When you're trying to preserve good chapter tactics for later in the game, and you're still needing to make decisions on what to do in the here and now, this is one of the few times when, knowing too much of your army actually becomes something of a hindrance, because you're running the mental calculations of what is this compared to how this performs, and which is arguably going to pay out in the better long term experience,
Hmm.
in the better long term. And that's why it just took a little bit longer to get out of deployment and into turn one proper.
Okay. Well, I know that you and I aren't quite synced up now with our timestamps, so
Well, I unfortunately I'm with the way that this is viewing, I can't see where you are in the video, but that's totally fine. If you could
if
tell me where you are in your timestamp, I can follow along on
yeah,
my end.
if you pull up, so that's the thing is I downloaded the video and only the 3 hours of your
Yep.
game, so the timestamp starts about I think it's 13 minutes further in than yours will.
So I'll just have to
Yeah, and
account for the 13 minutes back. Yep.
if you want, you can fire off my stream. It'll be a few minutes, or not minutes. It'll be a few seconds ahead, but you'll be all
Let
right.
me go and access the NoobHammer YouTube page.
So I'm gonna
There it is.
jump through here. It looks like okay, they go back to Craft World for a little bit here.
Yeah.
So I'm at about 8 minutes in now.
I'm there. You can play
Okay,
it along.
great. So looks like you're still doing your movement. One Proteus kill team just moved up in the north corner. I'm gonna move until we can see. Oh,
So this is when I
I
started
like
making my moves.
your snow like bases, by the way.
Thank you very much. It really helps offset the black really nicely when you're looking at the army. Um,
But
so
there's your Corvus move. It's unfortunately behind my host. Here, let me hide myself for a second here. You guys can see that
there will be more
there.
opportunities to see the view of the plane in close-up detail as play goes on. So, but yeah, that's so the Corvus drops down in that back corner, and then takes fire into some of the Plague Marines, and then, as I said, kills
These
4 of the Plague Marines with 4 shots. It could not have gone a better fire.
Yeah, I've never had a Corvus perform that well for me, unfortunately. As much as I love my old Corvus, it usually whiffs either the wound or the hit,
Hits,
or it does 1 or 2 damage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that some folks are going to ask, primary Xenos Hunter focus this game was Dominatus. Um, was anti-elites, because the guy has a ton of Terminators, a ton of
Yeah,
elite characters.
makes sense.
So being able to get my veterans wounding, re-rolling those Thunderhammer attacks, very, very critical. And as you can see, nice, good, clean close-up of that Corvus. Such a beautiful model to paint as well.
Yeah, I need to complete mine. Oh, you have the Hurricane Bolters model. Do you actually have the Hurricane Bolters on this right now?
I do not.
Okay.
They're just modeled, and because like they do look so nice.
Yeah,
And
they do.
if in future you want to run them, you should have the bits on the model in any case.
Yeah, I have mine magnetized, so I can snap them
So
on and off.
so here's just a couple of psychic powers going off. Feel no pain, +1 to hits, just in case something happens. Because again, I said, like, I'm preparing in the situation of a long charge into those Nurglings. The chaplains got the correct litany off, so if my firepower had failed, those Nurglings would be dead on the with the follow up.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, everything disappeared once the dice stopped falling, and that was effectively my turn 1 of just eliminate Nurglings and get things sorted.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and skip ahead then. I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna turn our faces back on.
Yep.
And I will skip ahead till his turn too. It looks like there was what's this, Necrons versus Admech?
Necrons versus demons.
Demons.
That
Yeah.
the Necron player was running full Destroyer Cult, and a very nicely painted Destroyer Cult at that. The Demon player was running Disciples of Be'lakor. Both players also reached top 16, by the by.
Wow, that's awesome.
The Disciples of Be'lakor list, pure demons, used a nasty combination of abilities that I have never actually considered over much, but has become very viable with the Disciples of Be'lakor Army of Renown. That meaning he used horror splitting to a degree that I've never considered.
Yeah, I heard that's becoming a thing again now.
Yeah,
So that's, which is interesting.
it became worse than the Bad Rash from 2008 with Poxwalkers and just killing Nurgle demons and other cultists and such. The Bad Rash was back and it was all chaos.
so so it looks like he's in the middle of his movement phase.
Yep.
His one big blob of Terminators has moved up onto his northwest objective here.
Yep.
It looks like he has some stuff back here screening you out. Is that the idea up in this corner? He's trying to screen out your backfield.
He doesn't have any kind of screen at all. By the time of his movement is concluded, everything will be in that ruin that can be in that ruin, because my last few souls do have good lines of fire from where they are, and he can't zone me out entirely forever.
Yeah.
So everything just moved up into that ruin. The majority of his turn was trying to get forward into his position.
Sounds like Death Guard.
Yeah, Death Guard are slow. What can you do, right? And then on the southern half, everything moved into the ruins as best they could, as you'd expect. They are essentially preparing to receive the pain train.
Yeah. Okay. So I can see they're moving up here now. While we wait for him to move, let's talk about the terrain for a bit. So this was obviously a Games Workshop event. So they used Game Workshop terrain, which is 4 big obscuring ruins in equal distance from the middle and the edges, as you can see from this top-down view right now. And then like 2 little pieces of scatter terrain on either side, right? You got like one over here, and then you got one over here, like like on the east and west sides.
Yeah. So as per the tournament pack, 10 pieces of terrain, 4 large squares, which were on 12 by 12 squares of plexiglass. You then had 2 10 by 5 rectangles on the sides, which were also obscuring terrain.
Okay.
And then in the corners, with terrain setup 1, you had 4 6 by 4 pieces of dense terrain.
Oh, I see the plexiglass now. It's really hard to actually see on the screen, which is good. Like, that's the point, right? It's supposed to blend in, but like you can just see. Apologies, by the way. So the download is a little stuttery. Haha. It's a funny joke because I'm a stutterer. So it's a little stuttery, and I can only get it in 720p. That's not exactly the world's highest quality download, but this way I'm at least removing a website from the equation. So and once again, please ask us any questions. But how did so every game had the same terrain, right? Like they don't change the layout much, right?
Well, the layout changed once. Going from day 1 to day 2, they moved to setup 2, which changes so that the 4 ruins are now slightly offset front and back.
Okay, so they're like this and not straight along with each other. They're like this, or I mean, probably
the 2. Yeah, and then the 2 rectangles then take center place. If you look up the U.S. Open terrain setups 1 and 2, you'll see how the terrain setups change from day 1 to day 2.
Very cool. Well, I'm just gonna keep this moving along as I ask you questions. But so this in-dom team just smoked those Nurglings. You didn't have to use Specialism Extremis. You just used the normal, just good old-fashioned normal shooting. I mean, here's Paul and Nick being dorks.
Yep. As I said, 10d6 auto hits that are strength 4 against tough 2. You're wounding on 2s, re-rolling with against troops. It literally melted the Nurglings off the
table. I don't know if you guys can see this, but Nick is wearing a vest.
The man was so smartly dressed; it was kind of terrifying.
Nick is in a He's in a nerdy convention hall full of kids playing this game, and he is. It got hot in that LVO like conference room. I can't
It was
imagine.
actually very, it was very well air conditioned
Oh, good. Okay.
in
Because
that.
I was thinking wearing a vest would be very uncomfortable. But
It was very comfortable. I don't know how he's doing because you can obviously see he's sweating, but that's the way it goes.
all right, we're back to the Necrons and Demons. I'm going to skip ahead a bit. Here we go. We're back to you. It looks like turn 2. The Corvus has disgorged its troops down here on the bottom right, which of course you guys can't see again because our fat heads. So let me go ahead and change that up for y'all so you can see. So it looks like you're measuring, I don't know, charges or something here, I assume.
Measuring position for the charges and was discussing his intent when he moved into the ruin of that semi-liminal space of 1.1 inches away from the wall so you can't get engaged. But he was a gentleman. He's like, I'm not trying to gain any kind of advantage. Like, this is for fun.
Yeah, sure. That's awesome.
So it was a positioning matter of getting them ready to be able to charge. And this round was Space Wolves. So the Corvus Blackstar dropped into hover after it dropped the units off because it was either that or fly off the table, and I needed its firepower.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to provide a bit of a wall towards that center objective should my opponent try to bring down the Death Shroud. It's like just to get one more level of zoning out. So, because that was a big concern for me is where is he going to drop his Death Shroud? He could drop them in my backfield, which is why I still have a number of units spread back to be able to protect against that possibility. It's why the one Spectrus team is fallen back so far. The other Spectrus team, I pulled up into the Teleportarium again.
With the stratagem.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that I could redeploy them at need, because once those Terminators come down, I then can know where I need to deploy better to account for the situation on the table. But yeah, the Death Shroud were a major concern for me. And the Chaplain is rocking the reroll hits aura and the mantra of strength because, of course, let's get that pain drain. So the Captain, Chaplain, and the two halves of the veteran team are charging in.
I like this pincher movement you have. Hey Ken, what's up, man? So you've disgorged troops here. You brought this in this half of your Indomitor team out of Deep Strike, dropped them down. Yep. And then you had so I love this. So your Chaplain with all its buffs is down here, almost due south, and it's gonna charge in onto this objective along with these two 5-man teams. And then because it's an aura, these two 5-man teams will gain all of the buffs from this. I love this move. This is cool.
And the overhead doesn't do it justice, but the other character is hidden underneath the wing of the Corvus.
Oh, your captain?
So Captain, Chaplain, and the two teams are going to make to charge into that nonsense. There was one model that was of major concern for me, that being there was a Plague Marine still alive with a Plague Flail. That was the job of the Corvus Blackstar, to drop 4 anti-tank shots onto him in cover.
Just into the one?
Just to kill that one model.
Yeah. It's scary, man. Those flails are no joke.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, actually, like, are they as bad as they used to be because of AOC? Like, I know Death Guard also get AOC, but I think Death Guard have so much, like, AP 1 and 2 in their guns and their melee that, like, AOC neuters a lot of their melee, right?
It absolutely can and does.
Other than the axes. Axes are no joke.
Absolutely. Like, Armor of Contempt makes them much more durable, which is why I'm so happy the fact that Deathwatch have, the ability to decide when we use Assault Doctrine,
Mm-hmm. Oh
so
man.
that we can keep the effective AP of our weapons against Space Marine armies and other power armor armies of note. So, yeah, Armor of
Oh
Contempt. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, probably ought to have asked you. You started in Devastator, I assume, because you had the Eliminators, Fire, and then you had you spent 1 CP to put the Indom team into Tactical with Priority Doctrine Adoption or whatever it's called.
So no, actually, because the Indom team didn't need AP to fire into Nurglings,
Okay.
because Nurglings have only a 5-up save.
Oh, gotcha.
Um,
I did
the
not
one
know that.
CP I spent was to put the Spectres team back in teleport.
Gotcha. Very
Uh,
cool.
the other Indom team that's in the lower right corner that you mentioned, that unit's sole job this turn was to do Nachman data. Have an
Oh,
opportunity to
you
get Nachman data, grab
okay?
it.
So you dropped them down a 250 point unit or whatever, not 250, 180 or whatever,
It's
and then
effectively a 200-point unit.
yeah, and then you're just doing Nachman with it.
Well, consider I didn't feel I needed their firepower going into that ruin, because I've got, 2 chain fists, 3 thunder hammers, and a chaplain kitted to the nines charging in. I didn't feel I needed their firepower,
Hi,
so take
Tony.
advantage of the time. And that's the other thing, is like, you need to recognize when you have the opportunity and time to breathe and do actions like that, because sometimes you may want that extra firepower, but you lose out on getting the time to do
Yeah,
an action. You only have 5 turns to do the 4 actions for Nachman data.
yeah. Turn two, being able to get one of your opponent's sides too is pretty. Mwah.
Absolutely, and that's why I love the teleportarium stratagem, to be able to enable any unit to teleport anywhere. So if the opponent doesn't screen, you have those corners.
Yeah, that's a great point. I always forget to do Rand or Rod, whatever it was called. I
Yeah,
just avoid that secondary most days because I'll just forget to do it anyway. That's the difference in our skill level, right? Like,
things happen, and we are always learning and developing. So this is where the pain train cometh.
yeah, I see that.
Everything made its charge.
So everything charged in. Um, and on turn two, what chapter are you now?
Space Wolves to counteract
That's right. You said that.
the
Yeah,
minus ones.
gotcha.
So
So you got off Primorphic Resonance. You got off Space Wolves. I mean, you know, it went off. So now all your Thunder Hammers are hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s from the Bike Captain. Yeah. Okay. And then you have Fight First and all that jazz. So
yeah, absolutely.
and what's the crazy Death Guard model that makes you fight last in like a huge aura or whatever? I forgot.
That is the Foul Blight Spawn. He's in actually the northern castle.
Okay. I was gonna ask. So you are completely sure you're gonna wipe the floor with these guys down here? Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts. So the Watch Sergeant squad activated first. Sergeant dedicated all 4 of his attacks going into the Poxbringer, which was buffing up the possessed with the +1 strength. When you have a damage 4 Thunderhammer hit, and wound 3 times into a 4 wound character,
Yeah.
you go
It's a bad day.
very, very quickly.
Yeah. It's a bad day. So
And then
tell me about, like, one of the things I struggle with generally. I mean, it's obvious when you have a bunch of, like, models with 1 wound left, which damage profile you swing first. But when you run in like this, are you swinging your heaviest weapons first? Like, are you going with the heavy thunder hammers first because every one of those will kill 1 model?
absolutely, that is generally the case that I will work with. Is if
That's
there are
nice.
any wounded models, I'll try to clean them off with the 1 damages. But if I can dedicate, the full weight of a multi-damage attack into a target, I'm gonna throw those attacks first. So
Very cool.
it became something of a trend through the tournament, which was okay, hammers first, followed by the chain fist, followed by the chain sword, followed by the standard fists of the yokels.
The yokels. Nice. Makes sense to me, man. Like, I always kind of struggle with like, oh, which weapons do I want to swing first? I mean, obviously, if you charge a bunch of like Death Shroud, you're gonna swing the heavy Thunderhammers first. That's what makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But and then did he interrupt at all? Try to
He
kill
did
your.
not interrupt. Well, after my one squad had completely attacked, the Poxbringer was gone, and he was down to a single possessed
Mm-hmm.
in that northern in there. But he had another
Down
squad
here.
of 5 Plague Marines, but they were not kitted for combat. So he could make their attacks.
Oh, that's part of your target priority then. You went after the melee guys first, obviously, and that way.
That is correct.
And so the 5 guys with like normal bolters, you're like, meh.
They can interrupt me all they want.
Yeah.
They're gonna run. They're gonna be bouncing into a Terminator. So when he didn't interrupt, I then followed up with the Southern Squad, and the Black Shield did all the work.
Did you
5 attacks?
Yeah, you
5
gave him
hits.
the heavy Thunderhammer? Yeah.
No, because 2 weapons, so that he becomes 4 attack space.
Yep. Okay. I was gonna ask. I've seen some folks where like I think it's just a points problem where they're trying to be. I guess you could always put a Thunderhammer and then like chain sword on them and yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Which is when the camera. So if you want to pause it,
sure. Pause.
So if you look at the group just there in the foreground,
right here.
Yeah, you've got shield, and then dude.
Yep.
And you can see the dude's got a hammer in the right hand.
Yep, sure does.
And then his left hand is the chain sword.
Okay, got it.
So, yeah, that's the Black Shield right there.
All right.
So, yeah, he swung in 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, which was the big reason for Space Wolves is a Thunderhammer that hits on 2s is terrifying.
Yep, sure is. Hits on 2s, wounds on 2s.
3s technically.
Oh, 3s, that's right, yeah.
But I was able to get through all the wounds, at which point he then picks up his dice to save, and not a single 5-up came up, and not a single 5-up. So the Black Shield on his own slew 5 Plague Marines.
Holy crap. That guy's a legend. Legend. We have a bunch of viewers in here. I want to remind you all to please ask questions. Make silly puns like Tony did about Darryll here being on a roll.
Yes. So, yeah. Very quickly, that brick, that castle, as Nick and Paul Murphy were describing, it just collapsed. And then they're going to make the comment of, like, so the captain moves forward, his 5 Thunderhammer attacks, and Jason just does the honorable thing of he's not surviving 5 Thunderhammer attacks, followed by 6 more from the chaplain. He's just dead.
So what was they did like a little animation there.
Yep, that's from the that little animation is very, very common if you watch the Warhammer TV battle reports when they're discussing and going through those their battle reports. Like, that's the graphic that they use to indicate how many models have been slain from a particular group or a particular unit.
Oh, okay. Well, there was only one in that unit left, so boop, off it goes.
Yeah, after my turn 2, complete domination of the table. I've been able to restrict him to the top right, top left corner where he is. You've him another turn on Stranglehold.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you've completely asked him out of scoring Stranglehold, and the more you're in such a lead already. I mean, granted, he hasn't had his turn 2 yet. I don't know what his, his Terminators are gonna do out of Deep Strike or whatever. So.
Nicely done, Ken. There was dinner had after.
Yeah, after, but not before.
So, Yeah. After his turn then started, yeah, he only picked up 4 for primary. The so, must have misrecorded, but he got like 1 or 2 points for banners. Like he's now very far behind, and the longer it takes for him to get up to my deployment zone, the long vigil is just going to keep on scoring points passively.
Man, I am still so amazed that you not only chose Long Vigil, but you chose it on a game where the deployment zone is so thick. And then it's 6 inches in front of that you have to keep them off of, which means you're effectively saying they can't be on your side of the board. Like, that is gutsy as hell. I would have never chosen that.
Well,
Not because. Please.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, not because I don't understand that Death Guard is slow. They're slow. They are absolutely a plotting juggernaut of an army. But the fact that you know, it's like an 18-inch deployment, and then you have to be the secondary states. You can't be within 6 inches of your deployment. So that's 24 inches of the board. It's only a 60-inch wide map. So that's nearly half the board, and you're trying to keep him out of that. And to me, that is gutsy as hell.
Well, I knew that I could do it is the big thing that I want to point out. Because looking at the board, looking at his army, he's going to want to make use of his Terminators and put them on the table. He made Deep Strike the Death Shroud. Where they go, is his decision of, is he going to deny me points? Or is he going to use them to support his army? Because he can't put them anywhere around that Spectre's team. If he deploys them into the backfield,
completely blocked off over here for 12 inches, all in this big blob.
Yep. If he deploys behind the aggressor brick, well, the aggressors are going to turn around and then they're going to go thumping with 20 Power Fist attacks. Sure, -1 damage will make a dent, but the Death Shroud are going to be so far out of position and unsupported, which is the bigger thing. They're unsupported. So he has to make the decision. Does he try that and try and somehow pick up Stranglehold? Or does he just focus on trying to play his game his way and let me play my game my way, knowing he's playing his game his way?
The other thing, too, that, like, so I play Grey Knights, obviously, right? And I play Deathwatch. And when I'm playing my Deathwatch, I will just, because I have so many more reps with my Grey Knight army, I just forget we have Auspex Scan.
Yep.
And Auspex Scan, if you want to land next to a 10-man Indomitor team that has Flamers,
yep,
I'll spend those 2 CP.
Yep.
I'll spend those 2 CP every day. I just have to remember I can do it.
It's 3 hits.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to drown them in saves, so they're going to lose a Terminator or 2 at the very least, you know? So.
Exactly. And even if you don't, you're making your opponent have to remember you can do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, part of 40K is it is a mind game.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the more you know your opponent's army, too, just the better you do. Yep. Like, one of the RTTs I went to recently, I brought my Grey Knights and I played a Deathwatch player, and I was like, I know everything you can do. I know all of your tricks. Nothing you are going to do is going to surprise me at all.
Yep.
So
let me just take a moment to explain the disposition of his units. So going top down, you have a unit of 5 Plague Marines.
I'm trying to be where there's no hands in the way, but all right. So there we go. So there's 5 Plague Marines back in here, right?
So yeah, there's 5 Plague Marines in the northern section. Directly beneath them is the Foul of Lightspawn.
I know it's not this thing.
In the ruin is the other unit of 5 possessed.
Ah, okay. So then these are the Plague Marines up here, the very, very north?
If you scroll back about 20 seconds.
Oh god, I don't even know if I can do that. There we go. How's that?
Just a sec, waiting for the stream.
Yeah, I know. I do the ultra low latency, so it should only take a few seconds. But
so Yeah, the Plague Marines are right there on the top. Below them's the Foul Blight spawn,
This
Demon
guy?
Prince.
Yeah, that's the Demon Prince for sure.
And then he had the unit of Blight Lords, and then his Mephitic Blights, his Malignant Plague Caster, his Tallyman, his Plague Surgeon, all bundled up behind the nice and protected. And then in front, he had the Death Shroud.
Oh, I see. So these are the Death Shroud right here with the big,
right
with the big sights. Yeah.
So his ultimate moves for this turn was he slew a single infiltrator from my squad with the Foul Blight spawn across the terrain piece because stupid obnoxious, I will increase by 6 inches flamer.
Don't be jealous.
Oh, I hate that unit. And then he dumped his Blight Lord Terminators into my Corvus because it was not -1 to hit. Try and do some damage with it so that, you know, you can try and reduce its viability. He didn't bracket it at all.
Yeah.
And then the thing he needed to happen did not happen. Can you guess what it was?
From this view, did he need to get a charge in on your captain or something?
He needed to get a charge into the Corvus Black Star.
Oh, into the Corvus. Oh, because it's in hover. That's right. So you can actually charge it.
And because there were other units that were also close by, he was multi-charging. He failed that charge.
Oh, damn. So with these Death Shroud, he failed to get in on your Corvus and your captain. So I know on the top down you can barely see it, but right here under this lip of this ruin right here, that's his captain. This is his chaplain. Oh, is this anyway? They're both bite characters.
The captain has the Iron Halo ring on the cowl.
Ah, got it right there. Okay. So this is his chaplain, and this is his Corvus. And he failed that charge with the reroll and everything?
Yep, with the reroll, with everything.
What was the charge? 9 inches?
9 inches out of Deep
Because
Strike.
He came out of Deep Strike, right. Okay. I wanted to, before I forget, I want to talk about that beautiful Corvus again. So usually I have found the Corvus is a detriment if I bring it in my games. But I also play, I play against a lot of Tau. I play against a lot of like Ultramarines that have, lots of AT, like anti-tank shots. So my Corvus just gets full of holes and blows up, like unceremoniously just crumples. But this is like a perfect matchup for the Corvus because it's T7. He's only got like T6 shooting. He doesn't have a lot of T6 or S6 shooting either, Nope. So like your Corvus gets to fly around and actually play, which is nice.
Absolutely. Like the Corvus Blackstar in this matchup, where you don't have Plague Burst Crawlers, where you don't have Mephitic Blight drones, you don't have, he had no long range shooting of any value that wasn't Stormbolter.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he didn't, my Corvus Blackstar had a complete reign of the table. Now, I do want to make a point. If he had succeeded with the charge of the Death Shroud into the Corvus, do you see where they end up landing in relation to the Indomitor team in the south and the two teams that are Dominatus in that ruin?
Yeah, you would have just like countercharged.
I would have just countercharged and ate the entire affair.
Yeah. Is that why you kept these guys back on purpose? Was for countercharge onto the Corvus?
Yes, it was partially due to zone him out of teleporting into my backfield as much as possible, and as well because I knew where they were likely going to drop. If he did make the charge into the Corvus, I could then collapse the jaws of the trap because he's taken the bait.
Yeah. So I mean, and now his whole army is on the field, right? Like this is everything. Cool. So he's nothing left. Cool. So now you don't have to protect your flanks. You don't have to like screen anything out. You know that they like this is all he has is this big clump right here.
That is
Um,
correct.
I did want to back up slightly again when his turn two when he's thinking about where he might bring in his Terminators. So he decided to drop them here where they would be supported by his army, which you talked about earlier. But obviously, if he drops them up in the northwest, they're who cares? They're out of the game effectively. They won't be able to get anywhere. They won't be able to charge anybody, and they definitely can't shoot because they don't have guns.
Well, they have pistol flamers, but it's only strength 3 plague weapon. It's not doing that much.
Yeah. Okay, and it's like what range 8 inches or something. Oh, it is 12. Okay. But if he had dropped, or could he even drop here, or were you screening him out pretty well, like right here, between those eastern two ruins on your side?
He could have dropped further onto the ruin between the ruins. Yep, he could have dropped right there.
Interesting. Okay, so he could have, and then that would have stopped you from getting long vigil.
That would have stopped me from getting long vigil.
Yeah.
Just a sec.
What's up? Oh, he's clearly got someone in the room.
Just came home, and I was just needing to let them know I was on camera.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right. So
cool.
Yeah, he could have tried to go after stopping my long vigil. He didn't do so. Not this turn, anyway.
Very cool. All right, well let's keep this going. I guess there's hardly any reason to really pause because it is a 2.5-hour game. That
yeah, his turn 2 was very anticlimactic. Now going into turn 3, I was looking to try to capitalize on the positioning of his Death Shroud, because obviously they're the big threat. They're out in the open. So I used because my thinking was, so the 2 squads that are in the ruin, they can easily get out and make that charge, especially if they're supported by the chaplain.
Mm-hmm.
They run in, even with Miasma Pestilence, even if they're +1 strength buffed, it doesn't matter. I will be able to chunk through them quickly enough. The problem was the mantra of strength did not go off.
Yep. Even with Master or Wise Orator and all that jazz, yeah, it's still
you will roll a 1 eventually.
Yeah. Did you have enough CP in the bank to?
You can't re-roll that.
No. I mean, so there is a stratagem for 2 CP that you can make any litany active that had previously not been successfully, what do they call it, chanted or whatever.
Well, the trick with that particular stratagem is the model could not have recited a litany at all previously in the turn.
Oh, so even another one, but not the same one?
So if he had chanted any litanies, he cannot use that stratagem.
Oh.
That stratagem is most effective on a character that comes in from reserves after the command phase.
Right.
But for a chaplain that's on the board and who's chanting his litanies, it's essentially a useless thing to use unless you don't want to risk the 1 in 6.
Yeah, I mean, if you need it to like cinch a game, I guess it's worth it. I've only ever used that stratagem with my Grey Knight chaplain who did like what you said. He comes out of Deep Strike and then he chants. Well, also because the Grey Knights don't have the Master of Sanctity upgrades, so they only go off on 3-ups, not 2-ups.
And also, you only ever get 1 chant at a time.
Yeah.
But when you're rocking a Master of Sanctity with Wise Orator, you're chanting twice on 2s.
Yeah.
You need to. You're always taking the chance of chanting on 2s. Like you'll eventually get a 1, but that's what happens. So when that did happen, I immediately recognized I can't go into the Terminators this turn. I'm not going to throw my army onto his anvil because that is a death sentence right out. So my turn 3 was a sit back and shoot turn. So the Eradicators that dropped and were doing Nachman data, they moved up took a couple of pot shots. The other Indomitor team dropped into the backfield in the northwest of the video, deep into his corner. So if he wanted to try and deal with them, he'd have to bring a unit so far back as to be out of the game entirely. And I'm just getting my Nachman data points. So it's not necessarily...
so I see.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just I'm sorry. The video is not synced up with what I think you're talking about right now, and I think we just lost you. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Your video is locked up. That's okay.
It's showing smooth on my side.
All right.
Let me just quickly reconnect the video then.
It's not a big deal. I can just
Okay.
hide you for now.
That's fine.
No, you're good. You're good on... Yeah, I think it's all right. Okay. So you had this Indom team off to the west, the like southwest, right?
Yes.
And then you're gonna... So you did Nachman this turn with the Spectrus team in the northeast side. Is that what you're saying?
So if you just quickly pause the video.
Yeah, it's
so
paused.
Turn 1, I collected Nachman data in the northeast. Turn 2, I collected Nachman in the southwest.
Got it. Okay.
Turn 3, I'm dropping my other Indomitor team in the northwest.
Okay, so up here under our profile photos.
Videos,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I dropped the squad back there to collect the Nachman data, and if you wanted to try and deal with that, it's pulling a unit of his away from the rest of the battlefield.
Right.
So I'm getting a trade in one fashion or another. I'm getting my points, and I'm removing a unit from threatening the rest of the army.
It's so crazy to me that, like, you're using your Indomitor kill teams to just score some extra points because you're so far ahead in this match that you don't need their firepower.
Yes.
Like,
absolutely.
You just don't. And for me, I would be, like, dropping them down, trying to get the best angles I can, blasting as many of these things off of the board as possible, then charging to clean it up. But you are not doing that. And then I'd be like, whoops, I forgot to do Nachman, but I guess I tabled you turn 3, which was neat. You know what I mean? I get so aggressive. I get like tunnel vision.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, kill, 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 kill.
Well, the other thing is I also recognize what that unit is capable of doing, because I only had 2 Eradicators in that squad that's dropping in the northwest. So theoretically, I'm getting 3 hits out of their firepower. I'm getting 2 wounds. They have a 50-50 save, and I maybe kill 1 Death Shroud with their shooting.
Yeah,
is
that's
1
fair.
Death Shroud worth 4 victory points?
Yeah.
No. 4 victory points are far more valuable than a single Death Shroud.
Yeah. Fair point, sir. And then going into turn 3, what did you pick for your doctrine and your chapter?
So I chose for this turn Assault Doctrine again, because, again, I was wanting to try to capitalize on the placement of the Death Shroud.
Yeah.
And the chapter was, again, I used Inheritors of the Primarch to call on Space Wolves for a second time.
Cool.
The trick was I didn't get the mantra, so the chaplain couldn't go in, so I'm not going to commit my forces.
Yeah. And that's a big deal. Like, that's a big thing. So in my shoes, I'd be like, well, I have Assault Doctrine. Well, I have Space Wolves. I don't want to waste those, so I would go in anyway.
Yeah.
But you had already made those choices. Then that last linchpin, fell apart. And you said, you know what? Just going to wait this out. And that's a good lesson. That's a thing that, like, I am so bad at, because once I have, like, I'm good enough at the game that I understand when I have the initiative. I'm bad enough at the game that I don't understand that I don't have to keep, like, once the house of cards starts to fall, I want to keep poking at it. I want it all to crumple, right? But, like, if it's already falling, I need to chill the fuck out and then just let it fall. But instead, I, like, want to rush in there and stomp it like a toddler with a like, sandcastle, you know? I want to, like, smash it. And that is really awesome. Like, you made 2 choices. One of them you can't undo. Like, you can't do Space Wolves again in this game. You have one more turn of assault if you need it. So you're like, that sucks. Then the mantra didn't go off, and you're like, nope. That whole plan, I have a new plan.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Like, because I wouldn't do that. I'm not that good.
Well, especially when you got to consider Deathwatch is a finesse army, is a Space Marine finesse army.
Uh-oh.
You
I'm
have
playing
to be
the wrong
able
army.
to play that instrument very, very carefully. And when a note goes wrong, you have to immediately, you kind of have to work with it. You don't just continue playing the wrong note.
Mm-hmm.
It's you have to recognize and get back to the proper crescendo. So when things go wrong and they don't go correct, like sometimes taking the foot off that gas pedal just a bit helps. And in this case, it actually ended up really helping. So as we play through turn 3, the Spectrus team that was in teleport is going to come back down into the same ruin because my opponent did one very, very bad thing. He did one very bad thing. And he left the foul blight spawn out of the open without character protection.
Oh, right here?
Just waiting for the
camera. Yeah, I gotta like figure out some kind of screen share thing for my streams going forward.
Yes, playing like a fiddle when I need a violin instead. Sometimes you need to be able to adapt to what you're working with. Yes, he left the foul blight spawn out of the open, so 4 last fusel eliminators just teleport in.
Like right around here and then pop him?
Yeah, came right on in and just popped him. So I now no longer have to deal with the auto hit flamer. I no longer have to deal with the fight last aura. That threat is gone.
How big is that damn aura? It's like 3 inches or 6 inches?
I think it's 3 inches, but it's the I could be wrong. It could also be 6. But the trick is the fact that they have that tool item means that they have something to take advantage of it.
I think there it was. I think I just watched your one on that that roll for
right there. That's it.
For your chaplain.
So,
all right, let's skip ahead a little bit. Oh, here's the Necrons again. Oh, too fast. All right, so there are your last fusel eliminators. They will pop down, and they're just gonna chunk and kill this kid, huh?
Yep.
Nice.
They're gonna chunk and kill that the foul blight spawn. The Demon Prince is a whatever. The Demon Prince can run rampant as much as he wants. It's just not worth the shooting to go into him because with a 4-up invulnerable save, it's just too much of a chance to gamble on. And sure, the Demon Prince was to the last target, but I'm not confident that 4 last fusels hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s with no rerolls can get that done. It's not happening.
Yeah. Were they a Pergatus team or not?
No, Venator.
Yeah, that's right. I remember from our interview, and you did that mainly because of Custodes bikes, right?
Custodes bikes, orc buggies, flyers still a thing.
Orc buggies.
A number of fast attack units are also tough and durable. So the Corvus Blackstar moved over, and the Dominatus and the Sergeant's half of the Dominatus team got back into the plane.
Okay.
Because
you're gonna go do it again.
I'm gonna do it again. Like get out, move, position, charge. Because I also don't want them just sitting on the table being a target for a charge. They're in the plane, they're relatively safe, and the additional movement that they getting out is worth the delay of them being somewhere else. And if I need to, I can reposition anywhere with the Corvus.
And he just pulled the foul blight spawn.
Yep.
There it goes.
And that was this is pretty much the extent of my turn 3 is getting that foul blight spawn, doing a couple of Terminators out of the Blight Lords, getting the Nachman data, but it's essentially this turn, even with everything falling apart from not being able to do the charge that I wanted, I was still able to make gains in that turn without actually having to kill my opponent. And this actually ended out working out in my benefit. And you're going to ask, how and why does my not going in work out in my favor?
No, I'm imagining that it's just that the Terminator is so damn slow.
Well, the thing that isn't obvious from the stream or from the list is what was his plague company? His plague company was the one that has the stratagem to allow any unit to heroically intervene.
Okay.
So if I was to charge my army into those Death Shroud with the Blight Lords parked right behind them,
Yeah, they would have just collapsed in on you.
it would have they would have just jumped up, and it could have been really, really bad. But do you also see the bait that's in the north? That's in my northeast corner right now.
It's not on the top down at the moment. Let me go back.
But it's fine. It's
I mean,
fine. It'll get there in a moment.
You've got a Spectrus kill team out there.
Yep.
I mean, that's all that's up there is the two Spectrus teams. So.
But that's the bait. Those teams, if they are left unopposed, can shoot and kill any Plague Marine, can shoot and do damage. They're holding an objective when he needs to be able to start getting back into the game. They're not to the last target, so he gains. So I lose nothing by them dying.
Who are your to the last? It's your Indom teams
and the one squad.
And okay.
So all of the aggressors, so all the heavy intercessors and Gravis, and then the melee team of note.
Nice. I'm gonna take this moment again to remind everybody in chat. We have 10 viewers here. Ask any questions you want. That's why we do this live. Otherwise, I would just record this and it would be very professional and we'd have none of those weird like video hiccups and stuff. But this allows you guys to interact with us. So ask questions, please.
Yep.
If your question is what is his list is in the description down below. Otherwise, fire off your questions, friends.
So they're not going to do a lot of coverage on his turn 3, but I could walk you through how it went when we get back to an overhead view.
Okay. Well, here we are. This is still turn 3. I think this is okay. So he's moving now. So he's in his movement phase. Obviously, what he's going to do
is he's going to move the possessed that were in the ruin back to deal with the Indomitor team that's in his back corner,
which is what you wanted.
Exactly. He's going to move the Plague Marine squad there to fall back onto that objective so he still maintains control.
So this team's going to come back over here.
Yeah. So right there, I've now eliminated 2 more units of his from engaging with the rest of my army because they have to fall back off the front line.
Beautiful.
His Blight Lord Terminators that are in the center.
Yeah,
they're all going to shift over to the right-hand side to go after the Spectrus teams. And the Death Shroud, they cannot risk moving off of that point. So they unfortunately are stuck.
So there's nothing else back here. So there's these Blight Lords up here in the middle. There's these Death Shroud down on the like southern end of his army here. Yep. Are these also these are all Blight Lords up in here? This whole blob?
He had a bunch of Blight Lords and then the 3 support characters of the Malignant Plague Caster, the Tallyman, and
that's probably what these 3 are then. Gotcha.
So yeah, this is when he was humming and hawing. Does he send the Plague Marines over that way, but then leave his other objective open?
Mm-hmm.
And he realized I could use the Terminators, which were arguably a better move. So when he made to do his charges, his Demon Prince declared the both units as the target of the charge.
Oh, and so he wanted to go, well, once he's out of the way again, we'll he bumped the whole thing. Funny.
But yeah, So his Demon Prince moved up and wanted to charge both my Spectrus teams. The one that was with the 4 last Fusils opted to fire Overwatch. Because I'm in a defensible ruin, I can, have the bonus of Overwatch on 5s.
Right.
I hit twice, I wounded once, and a Demon Prince took 2 damage.
Oh. Does that annoy him or something? Like, don't they have like 14 wounds or something?
8. They have 8.
Oh, they have 8. Oh, okay.
But it's still the point of like it was insult to injury because he then failed the charge.
That's 2 like really gnarly like charges he had to get off, and they both failed.
The Blight Lords did make it in. They swung in. I transhumaned. He ended up killing 1 and did a wound to another. So he killed 1 Space Marine.
Oh no.
Then his possessed charged my Indomitor team, didn't kill a single model. We then hit the morale phase, at which point you can pause right here. He used the stratagem to say, okay, this squad's going to be at -4.
For your leadership?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I spent the 2 command points to keep that squad there. Because right now, I hold that point. It's a draw point, 7-7. If I had failed that morale check, I would have lost control of that point, and it would have been his.
So he spends 2 CP to make your morale harder after
1 CP. 1 CP.
Oh, it's 1. After you lose 1 model, then you spend 2 for insane bravery to just be like, no.
Yes.
I'm not going anywhere. Because that is a 7-point swing, and that's enormous. Yeah. Because then you would have had Stranglehold, and you would have lost 4 for primary.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Like 7 points is huge for 2 CP.
Yeah.
If I had a stratagem in my book that said you spend 2 CP and you gain like 7 points, I would just spend 2 CP every turn. Right? Because like that's what you did effectively. That's huge. Yeah. That's a good move, man. That's smart. Really smart.
And then I opted to pull that Spectrus team with the 4 last Fusils back up into the air.
Whee!
Because hey, I'm yo-yoing them.
No, man. It's
really slow swooping hawks.
Yeah. What I find fascinating is, like, he actually, at least at this point that it's paused at right now, he still has 9 command points. You have 5. You've never once used Specialism Extremis, huh?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Because I would, like, I feel like if I were piloting this, if I have any CP during turn 3, I've missed a beat.
Well, it comes down to being able to read the table and read the situation. In this game, our Specialism Extremis is dead. And here's why. What's the target I want to use Specialism Extremis with? The ideal target is with that big group of flamers for all those free auto hits becoming auto wounds.
Right.
But what am I shooting? It's units with a 2-up armor save. And they have Armor of Contempt, so even if I Tactical Doctrine, it's still a 2-up armor save.
Yep.
Or units that are in cover, which is a 2-up armor save.
Yeah, it's true. It's
So the threat of it is enough to make people recognize and play around it as well and try to change your target priority. But you don't have to use Silver Bullet if you have a Golden Bullet.
A Golden Bullet.
To just be kind of cute with that. But yeah.
Right.
So now when we look at the table position, those Death Shroud are now under-supported.
Yep. They have, they have the 3 support characters. The Prince is up here with the Blight Lords. Yep. These Plague Marines have fallen back. Did this charge get off over here? It looks like the on the northwest. Did those those possessed get in on your Indom team?
They did run into the Indom team. They bounced.
Mm-hmm. T5,
So,
baby. Also 1 damage.
Yep. So this turn I went for Blood Angels.
Nice. +1 to wound.
Yep. The Demon Prince is preventing reroll wounds because he's rocking the 1 contagion warlord trait, the 12 inches to deny reroll wounds.
That sucks against us. Like,
But
that hurts. That hurts us.
It is what it is.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Chaplain did get the mantra strength this turn, so very important for that. He did get the +2 charges, not that it really mattered. Actually, no, he got the reroll hits, but again, didn't matter. Demon Prince. So Captain and Chaplain are moving up. The Indom team just pushing forward to be able to get all their flamers in range. I'm not throwing those guys into the Death Shroud. They're to the last value. I'm not going to burn those points.
Yeah.
The squad that was in the Corvus gets out, moves into position so that I can get the charge off later in the turn. If you want to jump forward to turn 4.
Yeah, let's do that. Here we go. So turn 4. So you went Blood Angels. You're still in Assault, obviously.
Yep.
All right.
So, and then the cute trick that I did, because I've now not collected Nachman data in my southeast corner. I have the Beacon Angelus that I haven't used all game.
On your librarian.
On my librarian. And I have a 5-man troop squad in the northeast.
I was
in my northwest.
Just gonna say, let me guess. So you pull the Indom team out of combat with that plague unit. You pull them back down here. They do nothing except Nachman.
Get 4 more points.
So that entire plague or possessed unit wanders up to the northwest, charges, gets in there, bounces, and then you're just like, see ya.
Yep.
Nice. Brian R is asking, so he says, I've got 1 Proteus kill team that I'm working on right now. It is 3 Termies with AC, which for some reason I cannot, thank you, I cannot remember what that meant. 3 Marines with bolters, 2 Marines with the heavy, the stalkers, and then 1 Xenophase. So my initial impression on that is that Proteus kill team is doing too much.
That would also be my impression.
Yeah, you have
this team.
Yeah, you've got a lot of heavy weapons in there, but then you have like a Xenophase blade and an Inferno pistol, and it seems like it's trying to do too much. And specializing is like the name of the game in.
Yes. What I will say though is, as a flavor choice, for example, if you're going into, a narrative campaign, or this is a casual Proteus kill team and it's not meant for, higher end competitive, I'm totally okay with that. Like,
yeah, that's true.
3 assault cannons with power fists, I would give them chain fists instead. Personally, AP -4 and D3 damage, but it's 3 against vehicles. It's better than a power fist for no extra cost. Standard Marines with bolt guns.
Aren't Stalkers 3 base damage? No, they're 2 base. But with special issue, you can make them 3 damage, which is nice.
Yes. The bolters and the Stalker bolters, Deathwatch pay far too much on a veteran to just have them be doing something with bolt gun, in my personal opinion. Stalker bolt gun is nice. If I was instead building a team that had 3 Cyclone Terminators, and then I had 2 Stalker bolt guns, and I had that as a brick in my backfield being a turret, absolutely, I could see the purpose of the Stalker bolters, because they help, provide that long-range firepower. Standard bolt guns, they're cheap bodies that you don't need to do much with. Sergeant with a Xenophase blade and an Inferno pistol. I'm not a fan of the Inferno pistol because if you're firing it, because it's so short ranged, you have to already be in combat with the target that you're shooting, and a Xenophase Sergeant doesn't want to be in combat with a thing that needs an Inferno pistol to shoot at. Xenophase Blade Sergeant, also not my personal first choice. I would be going with a heavy Thunderhammer on my Sergeant. The fact that he has 4 attacks on the charge, yes, even at a -1, a damage for a Thunderhammer is terrifying.
It's very scary.
I mean, if you want to be even more cute, you could go Honored Sergeant of, you can give Sanctions of the Black Vault.
Yep.
Give him a mastercrafted heavy Thunderhammer and have 5 damage.
Yep. 5 damage. There you go.
But again, like as a narrative aspect, perfectly fine. Like that team, go all in on full heraldry and chapter badges, etc., etc. But as a competitive unit, it's as was said, like it's trying to do too much.
What's the assault cannon profile? I'm trying to remember. So it's 15 points. Yep.
Heavy 6, strength 6, AP -1, 1 damage.
Yep, that is correct. That is what it has.
It is not a good profile post Armor of Contempt.
Yeah. -1 bounces.
The assault cannon as well is just not a good weapon. And it has not been a good weapon since the turn of 8th edition. Because when it lost rending out of 7th and it became just AP -1 in 8th edition and then in 9th edition, the assault cannon's not that great.
Well, shall we jump back into the game? Thank you for your question, Brian, and let us know if you have more, man. We are here to help. So
yeah, turning back to the game. So the Proteus team jumps out of the plane. Characters move up for the charge.
Trying to get.
Then the Flanger squad moves up.
Right.
Everything's moving forward to try to take advantage of the position of the Death Shroud. The Corvus Blackstar just flew into the backfield to harass those other Terminators to give them, a reason to stay away from the midfield. So Paul Murphy and Nick Nanavati, in their commentary of this, making the statement that this is very much the all-in play. This is the make or break play of the game. If I can cause that center objective to fold, the Nurgle army is done. The Death Guard are done. They predicted that they would lose 2 Terminators in shooting. All said 1 Terminator in melee. Nick Nanavati said 2 Terminators in melee. So they were not confident that I would cause that entire unit to collapse.
So they don't know about the heavy Thunderhammer then, apparently?
They had the opportunity to watch the same stream that we've been watching. But I think that they were more thinking like the math just wouldn't pan out. Because as well, the heavy Thunderhammer did not swing into the Death Shroud.
Mm-hmm.
It swung for the Plague Surgeon, which was giving the Death Shroud a 6-up feel no pain.
So that's their apothecary, right? In every way?
That is correct. That is their apothecary. And I can't, so long as their apothecary stands, all of my effective 3 damage is going to have that chance of roll a 6 and nothing happens.
Yep.
And like that on a critical charge, it has to go first.
Yeah. Did he interrupt or anything? He has so much CP.
Oh, absolutely he did.
Yeah.
He absolutely did the interrupt. If you want to jump forward, you'll see the position in the melee nonsense.
All right, so you kill one right here in shooting. I watched that one model pop and go away.
There's another.
There it goes. Pop. Just popped. And then here's where you start your charges.
Yep.
Looks like you went in with your captain first.
He had the armor Indomitus, so 2-up armor save against Overwatch. So I honestly didn't care. Indomitor team followed up. Chaplain followed up. I tried to make a long charge with my other squad that was in the ruin. It was a 12-inch charge.
Right here. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it switched sides.
Yeah.
Man, this video is so choppy.
Tried for the long charge with with Blood Angels, but dice weren't having any of it, and I was not wasting a command reroll to try and force it in.
Yeah, not on a 12-inch charge. That's that's bonkers.
The squad made the first swing, killed the plague surgeon, nice and neat. Managed to. I didn't manage to kill any more Terminators with the Chain Fist or the rest of the squad. That reroll, that turning off of the reroll aura really did a number on the Dominator team.
Yeah.
But that's, the way things go. But then he made the interrupt. He focused 2 into the captain, 1 into the chaplain.
The chaplain has his toughness 5-7 wounds.
They were both tough. They were both effective T5-7 wounds.
Yeah.
So 2 into the captain to try and drop him, and 1 into the chaplain, or it could have been the other way.
Okay.
But after all the dice fell, the chaplain took 2 wounds, and that was it.
Yeesh.
Yeah. He spent 3 CP to get hitting on 2s. Interrupt. Just nothing happened there. And then chaplain swung, killed 1.
By himself?
Captain swung, killed 2.
Oh, wow. Okay. Which left 1?
Left none.
Oh, you actually wiped the squad. Okay.
I did wipe the squad.
So the only thing left on the objective at this point is going to be a couple little HQs.
2 characters, yeah.
Yeah, and you have OBSEC, so it's yours. That's your objective.
Yeah. As you can see, the one model from the Indomitor team toe tapped as well, and then the other squad is also there. So I have OBSEC guarantee there. So
yeah, it looks like you have 1, 2, 3 OBSEC models actually on there, and then you have 5 total models. So
yeah. So at that point, it comes down to just pure model count. And the moment that the death shot all went up together,
it didn't matter. Yeah,
it didn't matter. So at that point, after my turn 4, the game is effectively done. He's not managed to score Stranglehold once. He's now down onto the last, and he's very far behind on banners and on primary.
So let me see. This was a 92 to 63 according to my notes.
Yes, that is correct.
So not bad, man. I mean, especially because right now Deathwatch, Death Guard are kind of like boogeymen because they were already super durable, and then they got AOC as well. So it's like oh gosh.
And their Blight Lords and Death Shroud both gained OBSEC.
Oh, they did? Oh, cool. Well, good for them. So they needed something. I still think they have one of the most I personally think that the Death Guard book is really well written. It feels thematic. They have cool abilities. Cloud of Flies is maybe too goddamn expensive. But for the most part, it's well written book. And I feel bad that they don't get, the book feels like it should be doing better than it is. But it's just because there have been so many more efficient books that have come out. But the Death Guard book hit, and I was like, oh man, that is awesome. None of it felt too crazy good because Death Guard always has one big downside, and that's it's not very mobile at all.
Until you add in my fitted glide haulers and fitted blow drones,
which he didn't have any of, so
correct. Mortarion as well is always a bugbear. The fact that he's 18 wounds, tough 8, 4 warlord traits, 4 up invulnerable save, 5 up feel no pain, uh, contagions of his choice. Like Mortarion is a freaking beast.
Yeah. But the game got so killy that he's not even.
Yes, the game state has certainly evolved to the point where Mortarion is no longer as terrifying as he used to be.
Yeah.
But
no, he's still good. Like, don't get me wrong, but
at the time of the book drop, like Mortarion was the thing of power.
Yeah. Oh no, I remember the doomsday articles on Reddit about how is anybody supposed to kill this damn thing? It doesn't make any sense. I guess everybody's just gonna bring these new eradicator things, and my gosh, like Morty's gonna win the game by himself, blah blah blah. And then like 2 weeks later, everybody was killing him repeatedly on TTS, and they're like, no man, it's fine, don't worry about it. Like, it's not. He's oppressive, but he's not like, I don't know. He's not broken.
Yep.
And it's a cool ass model. Holy crap, that is a cool model.
Mortarion is an amazing model. Yeah, as you can see from the video, the Death Shot are now all dead, and he's going to do what he can to try to come back. So the Possessed will move back. He's going to move up his Plague Marines and his characters to try and challenge the center. His Terminators are basically going to settle in on that objective that they're on. But as I said, the game state is effectively concluded.
Yeah.
He has not enough time to make any kind of a major pushback.
But you were a gentleman, and you also allowed him to play out his turn, because
absolutely.
That stuff always bothers me when I hear that like folks don't let that happen.
Like, if he wants to play it out, I will let him play it out.
Yeah. It's just, I saw that the timer for the game was like 9 minutes when we last checked, and then I fast forwarded quite a bit. So it's over, right? Like, the game is the timer's up.
Yeah, the timer is up, but we also started about 20 minutes late because we were called to the table after the round was declared. So they gave us enough time to be able to properly bring the game to a full conclusion.
Well, that's nice. That's good.
So yes, but yeah, like, just to hit on a point you've made repeatedly. Yes, I did use 200-point units with massive anti-tank firepower, just collecting Nachman data.
Yeah.
Because I didn't need their firepower because the game was already going so well in my favor. I didn't need it.
But it worked out. Like, so you can't get 15 for Nachman, obviously, but you maxed it out, and then you only drop what, 5? No,
5 for the long vigil.
5 points on vigil. No, long. It shows right now that you max out long vigil.
With those Terminators and the Demon Prince there, you can't get the full points.
Gotcha. Oh, so, I guess long vigil is one of those ones that they probably like put at max and then they remove it as you lose it, or.
So so you can collect 5 points per turn. That they do not have units within 6 inches of your deployment zone. Cannot start on turn 1. But it has no cap. It goes to the full 15.
Gotcha. Well, I have removed the video of the board state and everything, because I think we're beyond that at this point. But hey, man, great game. Like, I can see how you were just kind of in control of it pretty much the whole time. What do you think would have changed if you went second? Like, against Death Guard, I can't imagine that your game plan would have been much different.
So it very much depends on what he decides to do with his Nurglings. I fully expected that if I went second, I would have redeployed the Phobos pretty much as I did. Pull them out such that he doesn't get a charge, force him to stay in the ruins such that he can't really bring any of his firepower to bear. The Nurglings would likely, one go for Stranglehold on the center, another go to tie up a unit in my on my deployment line. And then I would have made some effort to try and dig out that same brick that was in the southern quarter, because of the two castles that he set up, that was the weaker one of the two. 100%. He would have had one more turn of movement, so he would have been able to push closer to deny me greater access to the long vigil. He would have still opened up his backfield more than enough for me to be able to drop a unit on back there to be able to start harassing him. But on the whole, I don't think that the game would have changed that much. He might have been further along with banners. He probably would have had another 5 points on banners and 9 points on stranglehold.
Oh wow! You'd think if he went first, he would have scored that much better, huh?
Well, absolutely. Because the thing that prevented him from getting stranglehold was not getting turn 1. The Nurglings dying prevented him from getting any kind of access to stranglehold to turn 1. So that's 3 points. Even if I killed the Nurglings on my turn, I've not dug him out of one corner. So he would have still had 2 objectives, drop the Death Shroud into the middle of the table. That's another turn. And then it would have taken me one more turn to likely dig him out of one corner. And by then he's on my other objective, still the same. So he would have had, I said, probably another 9 points from Stranglehold, 5 from banners, and then the primary score probably would have been a bit closer. But even still, I probably would have been able to capitalize on all the things I needed to do.
Interesting. Gosh, even just switching up who goes first, it changes so much. Dick Johnson, who I can only assume's real name is Long Rod von Hugendong, is asking a question, or 2 questions. One, was there a ruling on spending 1 CP to give teleport strike to a combat squatted team?
Yes. I made sure to check all the major rules questions that have existed around Deathwatch and have been debated on various forums and Facebook pages and YouTube comments, because they need to be addressed and brought to TO's awareness, because they do exist. Those being Specialism Extremists, Teleport Strike, followed by Combat Squads. Those 2 especially. And how specialisms work when you change the unit's chapter tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And in all those cases, it went my way, because I read the rules as written, and in all instances, it just came out. So yes, you can apply Teleportarium to a 10-man squad, then combat squad them down, and then they both can make use of Teleport Strike. That is a go. If you do have a specialism and it does trigger because you chose the correct target for Xenos Hunters, and then you change your chapter tactic with either Brotherhood of Veterans or Veterans of the Long Vigil, yes, you still get the full rerolls. Any auto hit weapon will trigger Specialism Extremists.
So those first 2 ones, I see that very much ruled that way now, and I know that I had my interview with Timur from NoobHammer. I was educated in that interview as well, but the one that seems still to be the biggest thing that folks talk about the most is, do flamers fire off Specialism Extremists? And I thought that was settled, but I keep hearing it brought up again, because there's a rare rule that says auto hitting weapons are counted as having a hit roll that passed.
That's correct.
And then the way Specialism Extremists is worded is that it counts off of hit rolls. Flamers auto hitting count as having rolled and already hit. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And then your question, and yes, that is correct. That's why auto hit weapons will trigger Specialism Extremists.
Yeah.
And then you had a second question there, Mr. Johnson. Were you required to return a unit that's sent off by the battlefield teleport? Yes, because it specifies in the battlefield teleportation, in the reinforcement stack of your next movement phase, You can set this unit up on the battlefield anywhere more than 9.
So if you don't set it up, it's destroyed.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense too. Also, I really love your cheeky plays with that strat. I forget that strat exists, but I am the scourge of the low middle table, sir. So, I'm not. These are the tricks I need to learn to like hit that next level. So, Putin powered Poutine. Is that like poutine?
Captain and Phobos, Primaris Chaplain on bike, 6 Plasma Proteus with a Xenos phase, a fist, and 8 swords.
I have been playing around with various builds, and I don't think they're necessarily good. I just want to throw them on the table, either Combi Plasma or Combi Melta. Like, just pack as many into a list as I possibly can, where it's basically Harlequins with the like old fusion pistols, where there's just 40 dudes running around with Combi Meltas.
Yeah, like, trust me, there are some Proteus kill team combinations I would love to run, but with the game state of 40k becoming so much more durable, so much killier, when you're going into a competitive environment or even a semi-casual competitive environment, any level of inefficiencies start to become glaring.
Apparently, that is Dick's actual name, and so I'm sorry, buddy, but I've been on the internet too long. I did not assume that was your real name. Sorry about that.
So, yeah, like, I personally, I wish as I said, I wish I could have changed out all the storm shields I had on the squad, take a couple of lightning claws, take another thunder hammer or two, but it ended up not mattering at all.
Mm.
And through the entire tournament, it didn't end up mattering at all.
So your only loss was against. Oh no, that's right. So you got into the top 16 or the top 8?
16.
You got into the top 16 no problem with day 1 and 2. And then day 3 you just lost like every game, right?
Yeah. Day 2, round 5, round 6, and then day 3, 7, and 8. It was loss. As I ran to, in sequence, Tau, Bugs, Eldar, Custodes. Against Tau, in the one game I've had, I do not believe Deathwatch have a way to compete against Tau. Straight up.
Tau is rough right now, yeah.
Tau are faster. They have far more output than they need for the points in every fashion, be it burst cannons or plasma rifles. They're tougher. They have the shield drones. And if you try and get into melee, they have a -2 stratagem on basically everything.
That's what I was just gonna say. Is it like, so I don't want to bring this down to like Salt Hammer, but going back to the Death Guard book, right? They were really strong, and it was really well written, and it was very thematic, and I liked that book a lot. But they had obvious vulnerabilities and weaknesses, which is mainly their speed. They're super durable. They are hard to shift. At the time, their Terminators didn't have OBSEC, but like it didn't matter at the time that book hit. They were very tough. Tau, their weakness is supposed to be if you touch them, they fall over. But now you can't even touch them because like they're so goddamn fast. And then even if you do corner them and you get to roll a charge, they can make it 2 inches harder, or they have like one warlord trait where if you target the dude with a charge, they can just fuck off their full movement speed, which can be 16 inches. So you just gave them a 16-inch move for free in your turn because you tried to charge one of their warlords, which like that's the thing where I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Give them the shooting. Give them awesome shooting. That's great. They have one phase that they really play in. Let them like playing it. But the counter should be getting in there and grabbing them by the like belt buckle and beating their faces in. And you can't even do that easily. You can, you can get in there, but like you lose so much by the time you're there that like you've already lost the game. You know what I mean? Or at least that's how it feels at my skill level.
Oh, absolutely. Like, dude, you're explaining everything exactly correct. And what's worse is the fact that Tau trade in a very unfair fashion. Tau Fire Warriors are still 8 points apiece. Crude are I think either 7 or 9 points apiece. And their job is to either shoot you and die or take the table and die. But you're now so far out of position that the crisis suits and everything will shoot you and you die. And the crisis suits are so durable. Tough 5, 3 wounds apiece.
4 wounds.
3 or 4 wounds.
Aren't they 4 wounds apiece? I'm gonna check now.
They each can take a shield generator and still get 3 weapons, and they pay almost nothing for the shield generator. Like, it's a unit that's tougher than Terminators.
Yeah, it is 4 wounds.
So, explain to me, Games Workshop Design Studios, how this is a fair army for a Space Marine player to play against when we can't kill them in melee, we can't kill them in shooting, and we can't beat them in the movement phase.
Yeah, it's definitely been, like, I know when Marines got a second wound, folks were, like, up in arms, but then damage of, like, everything went up to 2 damage.
Yep.
Like, is it the cyclic ion blasters or whatever that do 2 damage? So just every failed is a dead Space Marine, and yeah.
Yep. And plasma rifles are strength 8, AP minus 4, 3 damage. I don't care that you have armor of contempt. It's 3 damage, AP minus 4. I ignore cover because I have the one thing that says if I shoot at you, and I ignore light cover. It's ridiculous.
Is it target lock, or is that the multi-tracker? I can't ever remember.
It's one of the support systems.
Yeah.
But it, like, Tau
target lock. That's the one.
Tau are so overtuned and given so much leeway, it's not a fair army to play against. So Deathwatch don't really have counterplay into Tau. So and our stratagem is now trash. Our stratagem is so trash into Tau.
All right. Again, so I want to pull back out of this like salt mine that we've started to dig. That's great. So talk to me about how you feel Deathwatch feels into the other like S tier armies, like Nids and Eldari. Is that like would you rather fight bugs than Tau, or?
I wouldn't want to fight any of them, is my response. Bugs have the same problem that Tau do, except they don't have a weakness in melee. They are an exceedingly strong shooting army when they want to be. They are an exceedingly strong psychic army when they want to be. Even with our psychic defense, it doesn't matter when they're pumping out 30 mortal wounds a phase. They have a lot of attacks in melee, all high AP, some of it multi-damage, a lot of it strength 5 to 8, and they're durable as all hell down the line in that army.
Yeah.
Tyranids and then you still have some of the nonsense with underpriced hive tyrants.
I've only played in the Maliceptor, 170 points. Like, no wonder you run 3 of those damn things. It's just like so good.
The Neurothrope, the fact that all their abilities can go through synaptic links, their psychic powers, everything in that army is exceedingly strong. It's an unfair army to play against.
The thing that annoyed me the most, I've only played him one time. It was at our TT, and the guy straight up said, like, look, this is not an optimized list. I love Hormagaunts and Gaunts, so I brought a ton of those. But he still brought, like, some of the new, like, really good stuff. And the fact that all of the HQs and the things that you really want to kill are, like, at least toughness 7 and, like, 12 to 14 wounds, and the really
and all
chunky
with a
stuff
broken
is
bull
T.
save.
Yeah, it's T8. It's like, I want to kill your HQ. Oh, never mind. It's T8, 16
Yep.
wounds, 2
Yep.
or 3 up save,
Yeah.
like 4 up invul, and you're like, what? How do you kill this?
Tyranids
And it's
and Tau,
190 points or something.
yeah, Tyranids and Tau, I think anything like a lot of their book needs to go up by 30% across the board, and that might bring it back into balance.
30%? You think that's
30%. And even then, I still think that it's still going to be very, very strong.
Um,
And
so
then Eldar, holy shit, is Strands of Fate just an overly. It's a thematic rule. It's broken to
kill
shit.
it with Reavers.
God, Strands of Fate. It's a thematic rule. It's broken to shit. You should not have the ability in the game to just get automatic sixes when a lot of effects in the game rely on automatic sixes to occur.
Yeah, all the like bouncing wounds and stuff. What's the all right. I will bite. How do you kill a Maleceptor with Reavers? Because first of all, I have to find Reavers, and then I have to build them, and then I have to paint them. But then once they're on the table, how do I like?
I wish.
What is
I
the?
wish that Reavers.
What is?
Reavers are so bad. Reavers are so bad.
I'm trying to like even rack my brain and remember what they do other than terror troops.
Here's how you have to do it. And there's only one way to do it, and you have to basically have a hope and a prayer. Okay, you need to have a 5-man Spectrus team because you need to be able to get the option for full rerolls. You give them the appropriate specialism. You take the 5 Reavers. You put them in Assault Doctrine. You give them
bring 100 Reavers. He says that should do it.
Bring 100 Reavers. God, no, Reavers are not.
Reaver carpet build coming up. They're 18 points. That's nice. Obviously they have mostly a marine stat line.
They have no AP.
They have 2 AP on their bolt pistol.
A single strength 4 AP -2 bolt pistol shot does not a good unit make.
Yeah, no, I know. And then they have a combat knife,
which is AP 0.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they never quite figured out how to make Reavers good.
Here's how you fix Reavers. You give them a rule that prevents units from falling back. You give Space Marines a reason to bring Reavers. Yeah. And you make their deployment options free.
I mean, weren't they doing that Vanguard, like Recon Vanguard Army of Renown or whatever that was all Phobos and it still isn't good or something? I don't know.
That is correct. And also Deathwatch can't use it.
Oh, yeah, that I know, but so Titans Advocates is saying that they ran their Deathwing up against a Hail of Doom Eldar list and live by the permanent transhuman. Yeah,
I mean, you absolutely can, but when they can just go, and here's 60 attacks that auto wound on 6s to hit, and count as AP -3, and you get full rerolls with guide, you're going to be taking 20 saves.
Yeah, it's more like going back to Tau, with the plasma.
Yep.
A 5-man or a 6-man crisis suit can fire what 30 plasma shots or something. You're gonna fail some. You're gonna fail some.
Each crisis can shoot 3 plasma rifles.
Yeah. So there you go. So 15 shots from 5 of them. You're gonna fail a few, and if you fail 1, it's 3 damage, and there goes your super expensive like Deathwing Terminator, which has no ranged option. It's only melee. Right? Yeah.
Eldar was not fun, although the game quickly became solitaire, and then Custodes. My dice just decided to not play, and my opponent was not willing to force the issue.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that you're having lost 3 games straight against S tier.
Well, I mean, you should feel honored that you got placed into S tier, man.
Oh, absolutely! Like nothing will take away the pride I have of the fact that I was the only Imperium player to place top 16, let alone Deathwatch.
Yeah.
Like that's an accomplishment that I will be able to hang my hat on. And it tells me I can play with the top players. I just need a better car.
Brian says that they notice with Deathwatch you can kill troops with ease, but tanky targets are hard. It seems like playing for objectives is the best way to go, and that's. I mean, playing the mission is good whether you're, like actually killy or not. But the Army of Renown fixes a lot of our anti-tank problems, and for a while there, the best Deathwatch army you could bring was like 3 Redemptors all with plasma, and then 2 or 3 relic contemptors
The Volkites.
with the Volkites, and that put out a blistering amount of firepower with the tome of Ectoclades, and you could just delete whatever you needed to. But the game has progressed beyond there,
Yep. And as well, my round 4 was against the tankiest target you can arguably run into, and that was against knights. And I managed to table the knight player in 5 turns.
Yeah.
So Deathwatch.
But that was old knights too, right?
It was old knights, but it would have made no difference. Having reviewed the new Knight book, it actually would have made no difference.
I mean, didn't Chaos Knights place like 2nd place at a GT just last weekend?
I can't remember. But according to Auspex Tactics, yeah, there are some top performing Chaos Knight lists.
I mean, I think it's 13 War Dogs or whatever. But
right.
it's no big knights at all. It's all small knights.
At the same time, that's also 13 models that can all be transhuman or all tough 7, all no less than 12 wounds, and all fast as get out. Like, and it's all OBSEC 5 model groups. Like, it's a very tough army to try to shift off of an objective once it's there.
Yeah. Looks like, more seriously, I think Reaver upgrades could be 1 point, and the Sergeant needs full melee weapon options. I find I need anti-tank to drop them in the rear a lot of the time. I find anti-tank and drop them. Guess I'm still confusing where Reavers are good at anti-tank, but I'm not very good at this.
2 separate statements.
Oh, I see.
He's commenting Reavers need to be given better melee options, and he says he needs his anti-tank to drop in the rear of the army, likely via teleport strike, which is pretty much the same thing I do.
Okay, I'm tracking now. Sorry, I did not read that properly. Yeah, I don't know. Anti-tank, like, we can take Eradicators in our Indom teams, Cyclone missile launchers, even though I really think D6 damage should probably just go to 2d3, but like Cyclone missile launchers have done work for me. We have access to lots of anti-tank. It's just more like, is it appropriately costed?
Yeah, that's the other thing, is it's so expensive to get it in the first place.
Like,
because a lot of the units that want the anti-tank, you have to pay taxes for in the Army of Renown paradigm. And even if you weren't playing in that paradigm, Eradicators are so overpriced. Terminators and Cyclones are so overpriced.
I was gonna say, I mean, let's look at a Cyclone missile launcher Terminator. Even without a melee weapon option, like, so a free one, like a power sword, I think they're like 53 points. And if you put a power fist on them or whatever, they're 58 points. A fully loaded, ready to rock crisis suit, 55 points. Ish. Like, it's faster, it's tougher, it has more wounds. It's worse in melee, arguably, but it's not where it wants to be anyway.
It will never see melee.
Yeah. And even so, like, if you're stuck in melee, they get to fire all their guns into melee if they're still alive. So,
Yep. But pulling back out of the salt mine, no, like, there are definitely design problems right now with Space Marines, and I am really curious to see how Games Workshop decides to try to address it. and I don't think that there's anything they can do to fix it. Like, I honestly don't. Because the only way to fix it is to make the units so overpowered or undertuned that it completely
You mean
upsets all the game balance.
undercosted?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
if you think Deathwing Terminators are strong currently, to make Terminators viable, just viable in the current game state, they'd have to be probably 23 points apiece.
That's a bold claim, sir. That is very cheap. That's only 1 point more than a Grey Knight Strike Marine.
Well, consider this. Like, where does the Terminator sit in the Space Marine army? It's supposed to be the line. It's supposed to be the tip of the spear. The thing you throw in when you need to be able to tank a ton of fire and do a measurable amount of damage. The trick is, the game has gotten to the point where Terminators don't exist for more than a turn against any of the major armies, because damage 3 has become so ubiquitous. Like, every army has very, very, very cheap damage 3.
And damage 2 to just which means that those armies that have like models with 1 wound, you're actually getting a lot of value out of those, like 1 wound, because if it gets slapped with 2 damage or 3 damage, you don't care. You lost an 11-point witch or whatever. Like, you don't give a shit.
And let's look at the various different types of Terminators. Death Guard, you're tough 5, -1 damage, and 4 up invul save. You need no help. Rubric Scarab Occult Terminators, you have +1 armor save, and you can get -1 damage, and you can also get Transhuman. You need no help. Also, you carry a Psyker in the squad.
Don't forget the Soul Reaper auto.
I'm looking more at their durability profile before I'm looking at their output. Grey Knights, you can get Transhuman on a Grey Knight strike on any Grey Knight unit.
It's very expensive, though.
But at the same time, you also have psychic powers to augment everything you do. You don't need help with Grey Knight Terminators, although Grey Knight Terminators will also probably need to drop points.
They're better now with AOC. I still argue they're too expensive.
But when you look at just what a Terminator does, it's not strong enough. The only way to make it strong enough is to either increase its profile to the point where at 38 points with a Power Fist, the thing is terrifying on the tabletop. Or you keep its current profile and you have to drop its points somehow. But if you don't do either of those things, Terminators don't function. They're dead. Like, the only reason they're good in Deathwatch is because we can mix them into a squad. And the only reason they're good in Dark Angels is because they're Deathwing. Grey Knights have Paladins and standard Grey Knight Terminators, but you do not see Terminators run in any other army competitively doing well. You don't.
Aren't Relic Terminators coming back in a way? Like, I've seen some Salamander Terminator lists and stuff, and Black Templars as well, because they can get those other army buffs, and then what does the Relic do that's so good that with AOC? Like, I see a lot of talk about Relic Terminators, and I don't know why.
The one Relic is it can turn any AP1 or AP2 attack to AP0. So,
is that it? Is it a stratagem or something?
It's a relic that enhances your durability such that any AP1 or AP2 becomes AP0.
Oh, are you talking about Black Templar specifically?
Yeah, the Black Templar relic.
I got you.
And then, yes, Relic Terminators are starting to make something of a comeback in various different armies. But the thing that needs to be watched is, are any of them placing well at larger tournaments? Your local RTT, 3-round, 16-person RTT, can't make a good determination of third or fifth or sixth place, because those aren't the major tournaments where you have the higher grade players filtering out all the chaff armies, like the mid-table, low-table armies.
Hey,
Um,
that's where I live, sir.
I mean,
I'm just fucking with you.
absolutely fair. I mean, to be fair, also,
To be
I should not have
fair.
placed top 16, but I managed to play well through the first 4 rounds and get to the top 16. It does happen.
And you dodged those S tier armies.
Yes, I dodged the S tier armies. The big challenge, though, is this: repeat that performance another 3 times to get to, for a list to become good in the current meta state. You need to be able to have a strong performance. It needs to be repeatable, and it needs to be replicatable. Someone else would need. My army was going to become a blueprint for Deathwatch going forward. I would have to be able to show I can play the exact same army or a slight variation and do well with it to the same extent again. And as well, someone else would have to play the same or similar army and do the exact same way again and again.
Right.
That's why Tyranids can play so well, because their armies are so cookie cutter. They play themselves. They take no effort to play, but they play well. Deathwatch is a finesse army. It takes time, it takes skill, and it's not going to always succeed the way it does.
Well,
So
I think that was a fantastic way to end. We've been doing this for 2 hours now.
yep.
Thank you very much for popping on again, especially with only like what 40 minutes notice or something.
Dude, I am more than happy to talk shop of 40k anytime. I enjoy watching and reviewing the replay of that video, because it's one thing to play a game once and then to try and review it in your mind and try and identify where you made mistakes. It's another to watch a replay of it.
Yeah.
Which is why you have those guys that Nick Nanavati and them, they play game after game after game, and they can review footage, hours and hours of footage, and fix those issues. So, and the other thing is, if people aren't made aware that such games and replays are available, they can't learn from the plays and mistakes of other players. So helping people learn and see what they can do, where they can go do better, identify the ebb and flow of the game. When your things don't go your way, don't overcommit too early, kind of scenarios. Like all the things that you and I discussed today. Would you have learned those? You would have learned those on your own, but likely after maybe, another 100 hours of pain and losses, right? Now you can see at the thinking of identify when those happen, and then you can make your own informed choices.
So Ken would like to thank you. And then Booten Powered, and I don't even know if I'm like pronouncing that right. At all, is still going hard into their Reavers, man. So they're saying what you do, you go, was it assault for pistols, right? So now it's AP -3.
Yep.
You drop in because grab shoots, if I remember right.
Yep.
You can fire. What's that? You're only firing 1 round per guy though. So you drop 10 dudes in there.
And it's heavy one because you're using special issue loadout.
So actually, you need Devastator Doctrine then. and then you do Synaptic Severance, which is 1 CP, has to be against a synaptic creature, which means you get exploding 6s. No, like
auto
6s auto wound. That's right. I mean, yeah, you're gonna hit, what's that? So 10 shots.
5 shots, because you're going in with
Oh, you're right. Well, let's say it's a 10-man. Okay.
10
so 10 shots.
You're still
AP3 damage 2. How many are auto? Two of those on the high end are auto wounding, right?
The guy has to fail every single invulnerable save, and you have to get every single hit to wound.
Yeah.
Is essentially how it has to go. And Jason Waco, I've been playing Deathwatch since before they were a thing in 7th,
Oh,
so
and
I've had a
Hellfire.
lot of practice with the army. Um, it just comes down to reps. It comes down to practice, and knowing your army, the army that you have built, the army you play with, inside and out. Just because I can play Deathwatch very well doesn't mean that I can pick up another army and do just as well with it. You need to know your army up and down and inside and out to be able to do well with it. Best advice is don't say that you can't play your army well.
The grav shoots cost money.
It's like, just play your army, play it well, learn from your mistakes, and eventually you might even be able to do better than me. I am not the apex of Deathwatch. That title currently belongs to Mike Costello.
That's true. But even though he's walked away,
but I
gone
still
on
have
to greener pastures.
But the army is still fun to play, even in the current state of a lot of S tier armies. Like, the army is still fun to build, fun to play, fun to theorize, fun lore. I'm not quitting my army just because the game state around it has gotten tougher.
Yeah.
If anything, that tells me knuckle down and just keep playing, because this game is very much a clock. The pendulum swings back and forth, and you will eventually, twice a day, hit the same time on a stuck face. So just keep playing, dude. This game is a fun game. Don't let the salt ruin the game for you.
Allow it to motivate you.
Exactly.
Not a Deathwatch player, but you built a nice big knight, so that's cool. I like big stompy robots. Who doesn't like big stompy robots?
Big stompy robots are very, very delightful. More commentary on Reavers.
Play only Reavers, man. Now I mean, that's the kind of thing where, like, now I want to do that in, like, TTS, but I'm not gonna go build, paint 100 Reavers just for, you know, the lulz.
Well, let me just quickly do the math. How many Reavers could you bring at 2,000 points with Deathwatch?
So with grav shoots, they're 20 points each, so that ought to make the math really easy.
So you need 3 units of 10 in your elite slots. No, you can't do. It's either 30 in your elite slots or 30 in your troops with Spectre's kill teams. So you only ever need 30 Reavers.
Yeah, you've almost got enough Reavers to pull this off. Because Reavers have to go in the Spectre's kill teams with the Infiltrators. So you're going to be half and half, like Infiltrators and Reavers at the very least.
Which is arguably the thing you want to do, because you should not be mixing your Infiltrators with your Reavers. Because neither of them share rules.
And you won't, so you won't get grav shoots onto your Infiltrators. Your Reavers won't get forward deploy from the Infiltrators. Poor Reavers. They're just in a weird spot.
Always have been, but that's Reavers for you.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give this another like 30 seconds for any more questions or commentary. I barely ate dinner at all because, like I said, we like rushed through this.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was, and it was really cool to step through and actually see like each turn and all the major plays and stuff. So, only useful for conversions. Oh, so do you use the legs or what? I am bummed that Michael is taking a break from Deathwatch, But I also completely understand. He's been playing a lot of Deathwatch.
Yep.
He
I
just
mean,
wants to try something else.
speaking for myself, after the U.S. Open, I've been seriously having to consider uh, getting another army as a palate cleanser, partially because I recognize I've now hit the ceiling of what I can do with Deathwatch. Uh, that doesn't mean I'm stopping playing Deathwatch. It just means learn to develop your skill set with another army in a different set of circumstances. Develop your skill set as a player. Just because he's stepping away from Deathwatch now doesn't mean he can't come back in 6 months after another balance update, after points adjustments, after a codex update. Just wait. Michael Casella will be back and he'll kick ass.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Heads, wings, cooler looking guns. Yeah, I can do that. I don't personally dig the skull heads. That's not my thing. If that's
I
your thing, that's cool, but it's definitely
love those
not
skull helmets for
my thing.
chaplain conversions.
Yeah, I don't even really like them on chaplains, honestly. I don't know. It seems like you're trying too hard. Like, why do you need a skull mask? It seems so Halloweeny. It's weird to
It's
me.
you're
I know. No, I know. I know it's like 40K. I get it. I'm just saying. Seems Halloweeny to me. Yeah. Everybody's
uh,
got their own hangups, right? Like,
oh,
you know,
absolutely.
if I played
Absolutely.
a Chaos Army, I think Death Guard would be a lot of fun. But like I don't want to own Gene Stealers because there's like a body horror thing with Gene Stealers. It's not my bag. I
It
don't
very if
Not
if
into
you
that.
were the kind of person that when watching the Alien movie, watched the alien pop up from the stomach, and you went, "Yes, gene stealers are for you."
I mean, I went, oh my god, what the fuck? Because I was like 7 when my dad watched me or had me watch that movie for the first time, and then I don't think I slept for 3 months.
Yep.
Oh man, the Aliens franchise fucked me up because I saw it when I was really young, and like killing aliens, fine. Watching an alien kill somebody, fine.
Not
The
fun.
chest burster, no. The
Yep.
like gestating inside of you, no. That's what messed me up.
The one movie that messed me up something fierce for years was The Matrix. The
Really?
early hour of The Matrix and the
Huh.
mind nonsense that happens with that, and just the concept around it. Man, it had me not happy for months afterwards.
How can I ask how old you are? Because that came out in 1999 when I was a sophomore in high school.
I'm 30. I'm 32 this year.
Oh, okay. So you're only like 6 years younger than me. So I do like I don't know. Okay, so let's talk actually about like this Reaver knife thing. Does it bother you that the Deathwatch veterans come with pistols and knives, and yet we don't get pistols or knives on our data sheet? At, no, we don't get pistols or knives. That's so bizarre to me.
Yep, I love that Deathwatch veteran
Like
kit
like
so so much.
even if they just said your knives are minus 1 AP or something,
Just
you
give
know?
us a free close combat weapon. Yes, I know exactly the thing you're talking about, and yeah, it's a question that's been on my mind ever since that kit came out in seventh.
It's a cool kit.
Why, oh why, is there a knife on the model? At the same time, though, that's kind of been the thing with Space Marine kits for yonks, meaning you've had the ability to put a knife with a sheath on a Space Marine ever since the 5th edition Space Marine Tactical Squad box.
The little squat guys.
Yep,
They all have the same stupid pose.
or close enough. I actually had a friend recently comments like how he's been very tempted to get that new Horus Heresy starter box just because of the value of the models, and I'm like, I don't need enough. I don't need more power armor.
It's more strange that Reaver knives do anything.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah, a combat
It's
knife.
funny.
I mean, it's just
You
think
want to
either. Oh, I
you want to
see. It's just making it make one extra attack.
you want to know something that's really mind bending? Why is the big butcher knife +1 attack AP0, but the two stabby knives that the incursors get are AP1 and no bonus attack?
Oh man, if you're gonna go down this rabbit hole, we're fucked. We're gonna have a bad we're gonna have a bad time.
We started this project, dude. Like, there's no ending it.
Well, it is almost 10 here, and I need to be in bed in the next hour or so because I get up at 6:30 in the morning. So, thank you everybody. Thank you for your awesome comments and questions. Thank you, obviously, Darryll, for being my guest again.
My true pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll be in touch again in the future. And don't forget, everybody,